Now again, this is Gilbert, Dr. Gilbert Gicharu Githere coming to your home with another session of Mazungumzo. As usual, we start with kind of some entertainment before we go right deep into the thinking and doing our job. Today I found it fitting to bring into your homes somebody I really love. I used to listen to his music, Otis Redding. All you lived in the 70s, you know, he was so famous. And this is what I'm going to open the program with, just to lighten spirits before we go into deep thoughts. And the song is If I was the sun, way out there, I glow with love almost everywhere. I'll be the moon after the sun goes down, just to let you know that I'm still around. That's how strong my love is. Whoa, that's how strong my love is. That's how strong my love is, baby. That's how strong my love is, darling. I'll be the weeping willow, drowning in my tears. And you can go swimming, baby, when you're out here. I'll be the rainbow after the tears are gone, to wrap you in my colors and to keep you warm. That's how strong my love is, darling. That's how strong my love is, baby. That's how strong my love is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's how strong my love is. I'll be the ocean, so deep and wide, to catch all your tears whenever you cry. Baby, I'll be the breeze after the storm is gone, to dry all your eyes and to love you warm. That's how strong my love is, baby. That's how strong my love is now. That's how strong my love is, darling. That's how strong my love is again now. That's how strong my love, so deep and wide. That's how strong my love, so much love, yes, so much love. Whoa, there's so much love, there is so much love. Anything the sun can do, I'll do it for you. Any kind of love you want, I'll be with you. That's Otis. It reminds me of my brother-in-law, Still Buter. He used to entertain us with that song. So I dedicate this song to my late brother-in-law, Still Buter. Rest in peace, wherever you are. God bless you. God bless you. Ciao, ciao. Now we will go into the program. I may put the drum away a little bit. Thank you for listening. Now, you remember we've been covering lots of things. And now this is part 13. We are getting into the deep waters of the subject, And we are reaching a place where we are going to deal with the word conscientious. Conscientious is something which it's inborn in us. A kind of directive is a court of justice, as Immanuel Kant put it. Is the one which peruses our care, our apathy. And most of the people go back to their conscience, and they question it. and they talk to it if there's something really serious in front of them. And it kind of advises you, please don't do this. It's not good in our culture. Ethically, it is not good for your own personal spirituality. It caution you, you're going against the values of human beings. So, conscientious, which I have problem pronouncing, but bear with me, it's a very important word in this subject. And we have reached, you can say, at the center, at the core of issues, what is being? Which are the entities that Dasein requires to have the being that we are searching? Because Martin Heidegger, in Being and Time, he was looking for who are the entities that make us what we are, to have the being. And we have been going through this. Now we reach the word conscience. Conscience. The discussion about death is followed by one on conscience. Conscience is said to have these characteristics: care, court of justice. As I said, Immanuel Kant told us conscience is actually the court for justice, in our minds, the self. That's our court. We go before it. Is this thing that we're doing good? Should we continue doing it? So Immanuel Kant called it court of justice. It's also a calling to go do a service, like be a Peace Corps somewhere and help, like J.F. Kennedy did when he was alive. He formed the Peace Corps, and people would go out, help the poor. It is an appeal. Conscience is an appeal. And it also peruses our guilt. Because if you're going to do something wrong, your conscience will tell you, don't do that. It is also helps in interpretation, hermeneutics, and also how this interpretation is done, and the relationship of potentiality of being and conscience. Conscience is a state of mind, understanding, falling, and discourse. Now you can see there, conscience is also a state of mind. Because if you are going to go in front of a court, which is the court? It's your mind. It's a state of mind. Am I doing the right thing? It is also the core part of the mind and the brain that our understanding dwells in, and is a spiritual part. The brain is a material part. The mind is a spiritual part. Conscience is the spiritual part. And understanding dwells in our brains, and is the one which actually retains or keeps what we know, knowledge, understanding. Falling is also part of conscience, and discourse. Now, that's a very, very important thing for you to kind of remember, that discourse is actually language. It's communication that we have between each other as a community of people. We have a discourse. If we have a problem, we will sit in a baraza, in a circle, and we will listen to different opinions. And in the end, we will kind of, the majority will take it. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to stop having so many guns, just to be now a subject which is current. We might decide, let's lessen the guns now. we are not pioneering a wild country now as it used to be in the 18th century. Now we are in an urban situation. We can at least keep some guns away, but that's a discussion for another time. But that is in the form of discourse, discussion. Now, conscience directs its appeal to being in the world. They appeal to none else but self. The appeal takes the form of soliloquy. It summons itself to what Kant calls court of justice. The appeal of self is due to the fact that Dasein realizes its potentiality for being. Dasein has potentiality for being because to love life, to survive in this Gaia, the environment given to us, that you have to have potential for being. And that's what Dasein has plenty of. Because he has to face so many things, falling, temptation. We're going to see several things that Dasein faces as he tries to survive, or as Martin Heidegger had it, to exist, because existence is at the center of Dasein. Existential, ontological, phenomenological fixity of Dasein. That is the magic wand that helps me. Temporality, ecstasis, oneself, being outside oneself. And that's consciousness is what helps Dasein exist in the environment given to him, the world. In this world, being in the world, having potentiality to survive that world. Conscience discourses solely and constantly in the mode of keeping silent. Because you see, you are kind of thinking, you are in deep thought. And you are in that court. Should I invest in this turmoil situation of banking institutions going under? Should I take some money and invest in stocks? Silently, you are in court with yourself, with your conscience. And it's going to give you the answer. Mainly, conscience is discussion between yourself. Dasein, in most cases, is involved in the daily issues of those alongside him. They, self, which is appealed upon, is in a state of mind, what? Peculiar indefiniteness of the caller and the impossibility of making more definite what this caller is. So you remember one of the modes that Dasein is in is calling. He has a calling. So you'll hear people saying, oh, he had a calling and he went to serve the Lord, or he went to serve Allah in some place in the world to preach the good word. Buddhism, as Confucius just left, and Buddha, he had a calling. So one of the consciences of being that Dasein has is calling. He has fallen also. He is flung into the universe, or he's flung into the environment to survive. Look for shelter. Look for clothing. Look for food. Look for something to make him happy. that is in a form of falling. So you'll hear Martin Heidegger going back to these words, falling. That's existence, because existence has problems with it, and he's always trying to get solution to them. Human beings have got a habit. They're almost aestheticals. They love beauty. They love good things. They love also to please the self. They're always trying to improve their life. And that is existence, improving one's life. And the entities that come in, they discover within the environment in a state of ready to hand and present at hand, hidden. Like, might be there were no bananas primordially in the classics, in the time gone way out. Might be human beings did not know bananas are good for the heart, potassium. But bananas used to be there. And then one time somebody who had a thinking mind looked at the fruit and looked at the way it gets yellow, and he actually exposed it from present at hand, just being there. He went and tasted it when it got yellow, and it was so sweet. And then they started eating. It was ready at hand and ready to hand to be eaten, because ready to hand, you can take it and eat it. This is the survival existence of Dasein. So that's the calling. The caller, almost potentiality for being itself, functions as the caller. The potentiality for being is the caller, because he has potential to be. And one of the potentialities to be is to be circumspective, inquisitive, to discover what will better your life. The call comes from me, and yet beyond me and over me. Those are words, poetic, emphasizing the beauty of existence. The call comes from me, and yet from beyond me and over me. In this discussion of call, Dasein is thrown into the existence. Dasein is thrown into there. In this region that Dasein is in of the there is a state of mind. This zone is full of anxiety. Martin Heidegger says this is the area of nothingness. And Sartre wrote a book about being a nothingness. Because might be he went through Martin Heidegger's book during the time, because they are contemporaries. And he saw this statement, a beautiful statement by Martin. There is the real area, this is the real area of nothingness. This mode of nothingness, potentiality for being of Dasein, is challenged by thrownness to the there. So you are flung out there, you leap out there, because he uses these words. And when you leap out there, it's an exploration. It's trying to find out what can better my life. This is what Dasein is doing. What can better my life out there in the nothingness? Life is short and cruel and brutal. So, thrown out there, Dasein tries to escape from it and seeks freedom, but the struggle continues. A luta continua. That it calls me, uncanniness of Dasein. When it comes to potentiality for being, the caller is nothing. It is Dasein in its most mysterious way. It is Dasein in its most immemorial being as possible. It is in its most thoroughness possible. These statements are mouthful, but they carry a lot of meaning. If you listen to them closely, these are words which they carry a lot. Tacit, very, very fine, important points about life. That we are in this life full of struggle, but beautiful if you approach it. Because as I said earlier, and Baraka Moshe told us, Maruka, Baraka Moshe, hakuna kitu kibaya humu duniani kama shida. Hakuna kitu kibaya humu duniani kama shida. Uwe tajiri, uwe masikini, kila siku shida, shida haikosi, shida haikosi, kila siku shida. Iwe mwisho wa mwezi, iwe siku ya harusi, kuna shida. Hakuna siku hakuna shida. Uwe masikini, uwe tajiri, kila siku shida. And that is existence. Kila siku shida. You have money, you have everything, but you feel there are problems around you. There is never full satisfaction 100%. So you take what you're given in that middle part. That is for later. The state of being in the world doesn't is at home at all. It is in a state of bare nothing. Self does not know the caller. It is a voice it has not heard in its everydayness. Dasein is always concerned about those around him, but in this state of the call, he is lost. He does not know who calls. This mysterious situation has unleashed him into this realm of nothingness. Though there is a call by it, although Dasein gives its total attention, it is unable to decipher the message that is being communicated to him, making it impossible for him to repeat what has in the call to the rest of the they or public. So there are situations where Dasein is being put, and that's why I brought the word conscientious. He's in deep thought. He's cogitating as he circumspectively looks around, as he experiences his environment. There are things which probe his mind, but he doesn't have an answer fully. There are things we think about and we ponder about, but in most cases we might never come with a full answer. But we're in that process of thinking, deep thinking for solutions, answers to problems that face human beings. And I think this is what here, the conscience, that you see Martin Heidegger is dealing with it. As this thing, the lava, is always bubbling with Pele, with fire. Thought for solutions. We have climate change among us. The temperatures are getting almost impossible, unbearable. And the seaweeds, you look at these seaweeds which are coming in Florida, taking over the beaches. The floods, the fires in California. All these problems that are engulfing human beings. They're challenging his existence. And this is the existence we're talking about. You start to feel a state of nothingness. And then the call that we are talking about, and Martin Heidegger talks about it here, the call of those people who want to see, to reduce problems of extreme climates in the north, in Alaska, in the Antarctica, in the Arctic. The bear is unable to live comfortably. Some are falling in high cliffs as the glaciers, icebergs melt because of the temperatures which are changing in the north. That's a subject for another time. But these are the things which existence entails and challenges us to come up with answers. Recycling, reducing waste and pollution in the environment. The mysterious environment does not allow doesn't to decipher the message or the meaning of the call. You will never know the call in full. There is always a challenge. Dasein is forced by the anxiety, the call to create, for him to fall back to what he understands best, like potentiality for being. The interesting thing about the call is that it does not narrate the activities of the day. It does not vocalize anything. Its big message is silence. The silence referred here dwells in Dasein's ability to be reserved, ability bestowed unto it by its potentiality for being. The call reaches the one it is intended in a state of cold assurance, still mysterious in nature. Being guilty, according to Martin Heidegger, is a sense of owing. The state of owing others, having a debt of somebody, as a result of which it raises concern in the relationship. You have debt. You owe human beings, those people who have polluted the environment. The people who have put all the pollution in the space from their factories, paper mills, leather factories, coal, the makers of big cars that produce carbon. They are with us, their parents, and now them. But when they look at it, they kind of say, they owe something when they're seated. Their conscience bothers them. We are the ones who polluted the environment. We made money, but you look at it. Everybody has to wear a mask. People are dying because of the carcinogens in the atmosphere. So they owe, and they sit and think, we are the ones who have done this. The rare minerals in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Just imagine the rare minerals, cobalt, lithium, all that we are taking from Mother Earth. We are destroying the forests. We owe something. There is a call for us. Go back and plant trees because we are the people who did it. You have millions in your pocket, but that came at the expense of trees. It came in your pocket because of polluting the environment. Those people who were burning charcoal in El Bagon, in Molo, for years, they were polluting the environment. But they got money in their pockets. So they are feeling the owing and the call. So these things that I'm talking about in Martin Heidegger, Being and Time, if you look at them, you will find out actually there's so much existence tells us that Martin Heidegger was talking about things that are happening right now in our midst. But that's a subject for another time, and please don't feel bad about what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm just trying to kind of expound existence as talked by Martin Heidegger in the 19th century. I'm bringing it into the 21st century kind of feel. In the above category of owing or having a debt is depriving, borrowing, withholding, taking, stealing, lastly but not the least, failing to satisfy claims. Call is an equivalent of soliloquy to self, summoning oneself, an almost potentiality for being. The appeal that is eminent from Dasein is not in words, it is in silence. And you can see Martin Heidegger loves the word silence. Silence is more than talking. Because the Kikuyu say, haria roe ruero riku neho rokire, haria roe rokire neho roe ruero riku. Where the river is silent, that's where it is the deepest. And the call is summoning oneself, an almost potentiality for being. Conscience discourses solely and constantly in a mode of keeping silent. So that's why I was saying, all of us, we know the climate change is with us. There are those who are saying, oh no, that's a normal pattern. It has cycles. All these things have happened before. But sometimes it's not true. It might not be that history repeats itself. Okay, it repeats itself. But maybe the climate change, we have extremely polluted the environment. Okay, we might say, oh, it will replenish itself because Gaia has the potentiality of being and it can actually rejuvenate itself. But don't be so sure. Sometimes we have to do things personally to help Gaia breathe better. We must be the doctors of our environment. We must be the caregivers of our environment. We can't just say, oh, we aren't going to do anything. Dasein is at most times involved in issues of the others, who Martin Heidegger calls them they. Self, who is appealed, is in a state of mind of what? Peculiar indefiniteness of the caller and the impossibility of making more definite what this caller is. In conscience, Dasein calls itself. The caller, almost potentiality for being, itself functions as the caller. The call comes from me, and yet from beyond me and over me. It seems to be a repeat of these things, but bear with me. Sometimes Dasein is thrown to existence. The thrownness of this entity belongs to the disclosedness of the there, and reveals itself constantly in its current state of mind. Thrownness is closed off. The state of thrownness out there is also closedness, closed off. Dasein flees to the relief which comes with the supposed freedom of the they self. Dasein in this throwness and cunningness in brackets, he is in a state of mind of anxiety, and at the same time, nothing of the world. The potentiality for being is here challenged by the above situations. The nothingness, the anxiety, the thrownness, they're challenging Dasein in his existence. And that's why Heidegger here, he's trying to show you all the things he's putting out there. You can see that existence, not consciousness, is paramount to us humans. There is always something challenging us out there. And in defining being, you can see Martin Heidegger was able to actually show us we are here, language with us, possibilities of being able to face the challenges before us, and challenge that we have good existence. Being a basis, that is what Dasein is in potentiality of being, and is made up of several possibilities. Possibilities are the basis of Dasein. That's a good one. Possibilities. Even though I cannot live forever, what are the possibilities that I can be happy and do something worthwhile? So when I leave this world, people can look